In this demonstration, we're going to just take a look at working with the FSMO roles. Those are the flexible single master operations roles. Now, any domain controller in your environment can hold these roles, and the default will be the first domain controller in each domain. The first domain controller in the forest will hold all 5 roles, including the 2 forest-wide roles, and then any additional domain controllers in new domains will hold 3 domain-wide roles for those domains. As we talked about, there isn't a whole lot of management that has to happen with these roles, but it is possible to transfer them to a new system if necessary. Okay, the way that we're going to do this is just by going into Server Manager in order to get access to the Active Directory administrative utilities. So we're going to go to the Tools menu and then open up Active Directory Users and Computers. This utility will let me see the individual FSMO roles for the domain. So we're going to right-click the domain, and then we have Operations Masters. And we see the RID Master, PDC Emulator, the Infrastructure Master listed in tabs. Now notice the current Operations Master is the only domain controller that I currently have. But if I wanted to change the Operation Master to another, I would hit Change. Okay. Now note though, this does not allow you to type in. Okay, so I can't type in the name of a domain controller. So if I do want to transfer a role, I'm going to need to right-click Users and Computers and change domain controller. At that point, it will show me the additional domain controllers that I have, and I need to connect the administrative snap-in to the domain controller that I want to transfer the role to. All right. Now, in my instance, at this point, we haven't installed any additional domain controllers, so I actually don't have anything other than this RODC account, which is not available. I don't have anything to connect to. But I would, these would be the steps that I would take if I did. So I connect to DC2, for instance. And then when I go back in to the Operations Master tab, then it will, I'll show you here in a second. The name of the domain controller that I'm currently connected to would be listed here. And then you would simply hit Change. Assuming that the domain controller is up and online, then this is a sort of a peaceful transfer of power. This role will just be transferred to the new domain controller. Now, if you had a domain controller that went down and you had decided that we needed to transfer these roles, then at that point it would be called a seize operation. You can still do it through the GUI. It's just when you hit Change, then it's going to tell you that the current Operations Master is not online and prompt you to seize that role. Now, you do have to be careful seizing the roles. It's not a big deal with PDC and infrastructure, but if you seize the RID Master, Schema Master, or Domain Naming Master roles, you can never bring that domain controller, the current role holder, you can never bring it back online. It'll cause a corruption in the database, can also cause a potential corruption in the schema, which would require you to completely rebuild the role. Okay? Now, the Domain Naming Master role is configured using Active Directory Domains and Trust, which is just another administrative utility. And if you right-click here or right-click on Domains and Trust, you have Operations Master, and it's the Domain Naming Master. Same steps, okay, in order to transfer. The schema is even a little bit different. That's because the schema, the Active Directory schema, doesn't show up in the Tools menu by default. In fact, it doesn't show up anywhere by default. So you have to go through this command, regserver32 schema management.dll. Okay, you just run that command one time. It'll register the DLL. Then we open up a blank Microsoft Management Console. So start run MMC. We use the File menu to add and remove a snap-in, and the Active Directory schema snap-in is the one that we want to add. Now that snap-in is not available unless we register that DLL. Okay, but once it's available, then we can right-click Active Directory schema, and I've got the operations master there, and it would list the schema master. Okay. Now the other option for doing this, two options actually. You have the NTDS util command line utility, which has a FSMO roles section. Let's just open that up. So we open up a command line, we type in NTDS util, and there's a lot of things that you can do here. So we'll just throw the question mark in. The one that I'm going to need to use is the FSMO roles. I'm sorry, the roles right here. Okay, it's just listed as roles. So we would type in roles and we would enter into the FSMO maintenance area. When you hit a question mark there, you see transfer and the name of the role that you want to transfer. And then you see C's. Okay, now technically you got to get into connections, and then you have to connect to server lab DC2, for instance. It'll try to make that connection. We quit, go out of it, and then we do the C's or the transfer. All right. There are also PowerShell mechanisms for doing that. So it's really up to you as to which way you want to go about it. It's something that is done very infrequently, so to me it seems like the GUI utilities would suffice. But again, that is going to be completely up to you. All right. So that completes the demonstration. We just wanted to take a look at how you verify the current holder of the FSMO roles, and then how you would go about transferring those roles to another system.